You didn't hear? Well, Cartman has some mental disease called Tourette syndrome or something.
South Park pushed boundaries for nearly 3 decades. Celebrities, politicians, religious figures. Nobody escaped. Most episodes aged like you'd expect from crude adult cartoons. But some, they aged in ways nobody saw coming. What seemed like typical South Park shock value back then now feels unsettling. Once you notice these connections, you can't look at these episodes the same way again.
We found it. Is it open? Can we keep him?
September 2020. COVID was killing thousands every single day, and South Park dropped the pandemic special with the origin story nobody asked for. Randy Marsh goes to China with Mickey Mouse. He hooks up with a bat, then a pangolin. The episode shows both encounters in full South Park graphic detail. The episode literally shows Randy getting it on with these animals during an active pandemic while people were dying. At the time, everyone was desperate for pandemic humor. Dark jokes felt like a release valve. Randy being patient zero seemed like classic South Park insanity. Then, the death toll kept climbing. Millions dead worldwide. Conspiracy theories about COVID's origins exploded. Political divisions over masks and vaccines tore families apart. Watch that episode now. The joke doesn't get funnier, it gets heavier. South Park made COVID content while we were living through COVID. No distance, no time to process. Just immediate satire of an ongoing global crisis that was actively killing people. Most South Park controversies age into being funnier or more prophetic. This one just got darker as the real-world body count kept rising. Sometimes being first to the joke doesn't mean the joke ages well.
Well, that's it, guys. We have run out of weed for the day.
When Jared Has AIDS dropped in season 6, it looked like your standard South Park episode. Roast the Subway spokesman. Toss in some AIDS jokes that'll piss people off. Nothing out of the ordinary. The whole town turns on Jared pretty much immediately. They're ready to tear him apart. At one point, he casually mentions his plans for children. Back then, it just seemed like another dark South Park punchline. Then, 2015 hit. Jared Fogle got arrested for sex crimes against minors. Now go back and watch that episode with fresh eyes. The instant hatred from everyone in town. Those plans for children jokes that suddenly aren't funny. The way South Park portrayed this overwhelming urge to run him out.
Yeah, I seen him type it in. 1477.
South Park spent over a decade absolutely roasting Al Gore, and not in a fun way. Season 10 introduces Man Bear Pig. Gore shows up in South Park, desperately warning everyone about this creature that's half man, half bear, half pig. The whole town writes him off as crazy. To them, he's just a washed-up politician inventing monsters because he misses being taken seriously. Then the Imagination Land trilogy comes along and makes it even worse. Man Bear Pig shows up right next to completely made-up characters like the Lollipop King. Parker and Stone weren't being subtle here. They were basically saying climate change belongs in the same category as children's fairy tales. For years, they kept hammering this joke. Man Bear Pig became their shorthand for dumb things Al Gore invented to scare people. Except Gore wasn't inventing anything. Climate change kept getting more and more undeniable. Scientists around the world started backing up everything he'd been warning about. South Park realized they'd massively screwed up. So in 2018, Man Bear Pig comes back. Only this time, he's completely real, and he's slaughtering people across South Park. The characters actually sit down and do something you almost never see on this show. They apologize. They admit they should have listened to Gore years ago instead of treating him like a joke. Now it's probably too late to fix things.
What you need to understand, Susan, is that everyone has an agenda.
The Passion of the Jew aired in 2004. The Passion of the Christ was breaking box office records. Supporters portrayed Mel Gibson as this deep spiritual filmmaker. South Park said, nah, something's off about this dude. The episode shows Gibson as an unhinged lunatic. He runs around half naked, acting completely insane. Cartman starts a neo-Nazi group around the Passion, with followers too stupid to realize what they're supporting. People thought Parker and Stone were exaggerating. Then Gibson's real-life meltdown happened. Anti-Semitic rants, multiple legal troubles, DUI arrest. Everything South Park implied about him turned out understated compared to reality. The neo-Nazi subplot feels even worse now. Back in 2004, Cartman leading clueless followers in Hitler costumes seemed like dark satire. In 2025, with actual neo-Nazi movements growing, with young men getting radicalized online, that storyline stopped feeling like an exaggeration. South Park nailed Gibson's issues before most most of America noticed. The scary part, the episode's warnings about fascism and blind followers might have been more prophetic than the Mel Gibson stuff. Just take a minute and hit that subscribe button, or you'll end up like Kenny. We're not kidding. Don't risk it.
Well, looks like with these bus tickets we spent about...
South Park loved destroying celebrities, but Britney's new look from 2008 actually defended one. The episode opens with Britney attempting suicide. She blows half her head off with a shotgun, but somehow survives. The media keeps chasing her anyway. Paparazzi won't leave her alone. Everyone mocks her appearance while she's clearly suffering. The boys try helping her escape, but the public literally demands she be sacrificed for their corn harvest. Back in 2008, this seemed like typical South Park shock value with a weak message attached. Then everything changed. We learned about the conservatorship abuse, how the media contributed to her breakdown, how everyone piled on when she was at her absolute lowest.
Just shocked at how good you look, Britney. Right, boys?
The return of Chef gave one of South Park's most loved characters the nastiest death scene you'll ever see. Chef tumbles off a cliff, lands on a tree branch that goes straight through him, then gets ripped apart by wild animals, while the boys stand there watching. Parker and Stone piece together old Isaac Hayes voice clips throughout the episode to make Chef sound like the Super Adventure Club had completely scrambled his brain. Everyone assumed Hayes quit after getting offended by the Scientology episode. Parker and Stone killed him off as payback. Simple story. Wrong. Hayes' son revealed the truth years later. His father never wanted to leave. After suffering a stroke, Isaac couldn't speak or make decisions properly. Scientology made the call to pull him from the show while he was powerless to stop them. Now watch that episode again. Chef gets brainwashed by an organization that controls him. Others put words in his mouth while he can't fight back. South Park thought they were getting revenge. Instead, they accidentally showed exactly what Scientology was doing to Isaac Hayes in real life. The satire became the reality.
Jimbo, that's right. Thank you. Goodbye, everybody.
You might have just seen jokes about homeschooling and phonics program in the episode Hooked on Monkey Phonics. Nothing stands out about it until you learn what happened the next day. Mary Kay Bergman was the voice behind nearly every female character in early South Park. She brought life to all the moms, random background women, and dozens of other characters throughout the show. The very next day, this episode aired November 11th, 1999. Mary Kay Bergman died by suicide. She'd been struggling with severe mental health issues that almost nobody knew about. Her voice shows up in one more episode, Starving Marvin in Space, then she's gone. South Park had to bring in multiple actresses to replace her because nobody could fill that void alone. Watch Hooked on Monkey Phonics now, and you're hearing Bergman's second-to-last performance. All those characters she brought to life, all that talent, and nobody watching had a clue what was happening behind the scenes. The episode didn't change, but everything around it did once we lost her the next day.
Shut up, fat. Everyone knows I can spell better than you. Yeah, well this year I have a secret weapon.
Goth Kids 3: Dawn of the Posers aired in August 2024. The episode featured a Cartman parody of right-wing commentator Charlie Kirk. Kirk himself called the episode hilarious. His producer said he'd want it kept available. Just another celebrity getting roasted by South Park. Then September 2024 happened. Charlie Kirk was assassinated. Within 1 month, he went from South Park punchline to assassination victim. The episode got pulled from reruns. Conservative figures attacked the show. Others defended it, saying Kirk would have wanted it aired. Watch that episode now. Kirk's character debates college students and brags about destroying young women in arguments. It plays like typical political satire. Then, remember, a real person died. Someone who laughed at his own South Park parody got murdered weeks later. The episode didn't age poorly. It got overtaken by tragedy before anyone processed what happened. Politics, satire, and real violence collided in ways South Park never intended.
I crapped out my mouth! I crapped out my mouth!
These are just a few. We've got more videos breaking down South Park's wildest controversies and hidden details. Check out the videos on screen right now to keep the madness going.